let's talk about The Biggest Loser, which is perhaps an example of how America and the West approaches and thinks about weight loss. So there's a link down below to a scientific article. It followed 14 participants in The Biggest Loser show. And what I want to do is tell you their results 6 years down the line and hopefully give you a pearl of wisdom that will be an eating enlightenment for you by the end of the video, which shouldn't be too long here. So that pearl of wisdom, just to cut to the chase, is you gotta stay full while you lose weight. It has to really feel good. It has to be sustainable. Otherwise, you'll screw yourself up. Okay, so if you do like this message, comment. I'd love to know your thoughts. Leave it a like. And let's get into things. So 14 participants, 13 of the 14. The average weight was 328 pounds starting out. And the average, at the end of the show, the average weight was 200. So, yay, we lost 130 pounds. Great. Except 13 of the 14 participants gained back most of the weight. So specifically beforehand, they were about 49% body fat, and 6 years later, they're about 45% body fat. So the total weight drop ended up being around from 328 to 298 6 years later. So is that success? I don't know. Depends how you measure success. There's something there. The average participant lost 4% body fat, going down from 50 to about 45, from 49 to 45. So that's something, but it's not a huge transformation. It's not a life-changing transformation, and it's disappointing. The 13 of the 14 people are now basically back at the same weight. And here's the real thing. Their metabolism at the beginning of the study, their resting metabolic rate was about 2,600 calories. So just by sitting there, they would be burning 2,600 calories. And then by the end of the show, this is important. The end of the show, their metabolism was 2,000. So that means by doing all this exercise and crazy weight loss, their metabolism slowed down. And oftentimes you hear this myth out there that if you exercise, your metabolism will speed up. But if you do it too fast, in an unsustainable way, your body isn't ready for that rapid of change, and it slows down your metabolism. So, and then back 6 years later, their metabolism was 1,900. This is huge, guys. The lead author of the study talked about this myth, Kevin Hall. He said that there's this myth that exercise boosts metabolism. But he says metabolism is more like a slinky or a spring. The more you stretch it out, the less bouncy it becomes. So the more times you try to quickly lose weight, the less responsive your metabolism is, the slower it gets. This has major implications because we need to face the fact that trying this willpower, brute force approach, like The Biggest Loser, which is essentially massive change your environment, just exercise in the morning, exercise in the afternoon, exercise at night, only eat healthy foods. These massive changes probably slow down and harm metabolism, and they don't lead to long-term changes. It's hugely important that if you're starting another diet that is based on basically eating less and exercising more, your metabolism's going to slow down and you're going to gain the weight back. You need to know that before you get started. And it's hard because you see TV shows, our culture is obsessed with promoting this image of short-term weight loss. It's really tough. You see it on The Biggest Loser, one of the most popular TV shows. So you see it everywhere. People working hard at losing weight. You see it with your eyeballs, and they say seeing is believing. But no one shows you 6 years later when people have gained back the weight. If you saw those images, perhaps the mentality around short-term weight loss would change. So here's what I'm suggesting. This isn't to say that weight loss isn't possible or anything like that, but that you need to focus on eating. And instead of focusing on how much you're having, how many calories, there's a lot of pitfalls in that type of thinking, because calorie counting is just not a long-term sustainable behavior for most people. But instead, what I'd recommend is focusing on what you eat. So this is a big enlightenment. What instead of how much? What instead of how? Instead of how many calories and worrying, it's about what. Am I getting enough fiber, fat, and protein? Fiber comes from veggies and whole grains. Fat and protein, am I getting enough good fats, I would say. Good fats, avocados, I did a video about this. Avocados, olive oil, nuts, some meat products like fish, chicken, eggs, and then protein, various sources of protein. When you focus on what you are eating, you stay full. You stay full for longer. And when you stay full for longer, there's no temptation, there's less temptation to snack. And if you are focusing on eating regularly throughout the day, then you don't have this depletion at the end of the day where you're exhausted and you're at a vulnerable state where you have a higher likelihood of eating out a ton of food and emotionally eating and going out and all sorts of things like that. So if you focus on fueling your body at regular periods during the day, cueing into your hunger, filling up with fiber, good fat, and protein, and not focusing on how much, really focusing on making it feel good and satisfying, and have a long-term approach, right? That's hard. It's very hard. You know, oftentimes having a long-term approach is super hard. I get it. Your doctor says you need to lose weight and you want to do the Biggest Loser approach. You just want to lose it all right away. That temptation is real. It needs to be acknowledged, and be careful, because it'll slow down your metabolism and the weight will come back. So that about sums up this video. I was reading online, you know, why I decided to post about this today was just because I was actually reading, some scientists followed the people and measured everything. So just wanted to myth bust the Biggest Loser for you. What do you think? Have you ever seen the show? Do you know what show I'm talking about? I'm sure you do. Let me know. All right, peace.